All right, here we go. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it was a hard out, but I just wanted to make sure that nothing failed. And it didn't so far. Critique-Opolis is back. This is Luis's pick this week. Copenhagen?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
All right. Give us the breakdown. We watched this on Netflix, yeah?
Yes, we did watch it on Netflix.
And director, starring, give me everything.
I was just looking for the year. So this movie is from 2014.
Yep.
And the director is a guy named Mark Raso.
Have you seen other stuff of his before?
I haven't, and I was looking him up before we started recording, and this was his first feature film. Before that, he might have made some smaller films in college.
There's a lot of noise here because our setup this week is, I don't know how you want to say it. It's hodgepodge.
Our studio is a bit different this week.
Yeah, usually we're in an office, but we're kind of a compressed space here today, so we're doing our best, so stick with us. So this was his first feature?
Mm-hmm. His first feature film.
Pretty
bold.
Yeah, well, your first is always bold, isn't it? First time you do something.
That's true.
I mean, if you're right out of the gate and you haven't had like a big crew before or a bigger budget. So set in Copenhagen. And go ahead.
So on IMDb.com it says the synopsis: when the girl of your dreams is half your age, it's time to grow up. Which I think is an interesting way to say it. Now, if you look on Netflix, it says something different.
It calls him a big P file.
Yes.
Does it?
No, it does not. It says, philandering his way across Europe to find the grandfather he's never met, William unexpectedly befriends a 14-year-old girl who changes how he sees women.
Yeah, so Will is... You learn pretty quick that he's just kind of a pissed off, angsty 20-something.
Very pissed off.
And it pretty quickly becomes apparent that he didn't really have much of a father.
Mm-hmm.
And as the story unfolds, he doesn't have the best encounter with this young girl what's her name? The girl that was cast as Effy?
Her name is Friedrich.
She got a last name, doesn't she?
She does. Her name is Friedrich Dahl Hansen.
So, I said this to you during the movie.
And I could definitely be pronouncing that first name wrong because there are a lot of letters there.
She did not look 14 to me.
No, she was 20.
Like
at the time of the filming.
Yeah, so they cast her as being 6 years younger, which was... I get it. You got to make her look like it would be ambiguous, like it'd be tough to tell, but it was kind of a stretch because you know how 3 years makes a huge difference when you're an adolescent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I don't know if she was believable as 14. That's very young.
Well, I mean, yeah, but also like to the audience, you don't believe that she's 14. But if you're, well, I'm probably getting hot water for saying this, but like if you're in that world, living it, and you meet somebody who you can't tell how old they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's people like that out there. Yes. But like when you're young, that's why you got to ask. Mm-hmm. You got to ask early. But yeah, so he doesn't have much in terms of a father. and his dad gave him all these photos of what his grandfather would look like.
Old black and white photos.
Yeah, and as what's his name? Will.
Will. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Effy, like, even though he's rude and abrupt to her, she, for whatever reason, decides to take up his quest to find this guy, this grandfather. And so they traipse all over Copenhagen looking for clues to zero in on this guy. And the whole while there's this burgeoning kind of unspoken affection that's building between them.
Yes, there is. I didn't know you were asking.
No, but I mean, like, tell me if I'm leaving anything out. I guess what was kind of tough about watching it was, I would recommend it. It's tough to watch if you have issues with a parent, because what's the guy's name again? The guy who played Will.
Gavin. I'm not sure how you say that.
I haven't seen him before. Have you seen him before?
No, I haven't, and I really didn't look up what other stuff he's been in, but he is an English actor.
He is
playing an American.
Yeah, good job. I didn't pick up an accent at all, but
I read that.
Yeah. Okay. Good job doing your homework. He, I don't know, just you can tell he's been carrying around a lot of angst, and he's taking it out on, not violently, but like through his sexual escapades on people he dates. And he's still doing this as he gets to Copenhagen. And as the story progresses, it just becomes really apparent that all of this misdirected sexual energy is, like, one of the roots of it is having a father who wasn't really involved. And he comes to learn that the grandfather wasn't involved in his father's life. Go ahead. It's a 2-part thing.
It just took, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it took a long time. I mean, obviously that's a big part of the plot of the movie, but it took a very long time for Will to track down his grandfather. And when he did, his grandfather was not, like,
he could almost give
cheery,
a shit.
and he could have cared less that his grandson had worked so hard.
Or jumped on the. Well, they said he was.
I was gonna say that too. Came over from America.
And a little bit of a spoiler alert: they dropped that grandfather was a Nazi. So when you see him, you're like,
oh,
you're kind of like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
He looked like a jerk. He acted like a jerk. It all makes sense. It lines up. He's not a sympathetic character.
Not at all.
You only see him for like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like, the end of it, Will's interaction with him, it was really satisfying.
It was nice to see, and I mean, I'm using the term nice lightly, but it was nice to see that his grandfather, his dad, and Will all had similar, I guess you would say, temperaments.
Yeah.
And the link between his grandfather and his dad wasn't good. The relationship wasn't good, and Will didn't necessarily know how that played a part in his dad's relationship with him.
Mm-hmm. You kind of had to see it.
You had to see it. And I guess that's, what I'm saying is it took so long for Will to find his grandfather, and his grandfather, again, could have cared less that he spent all this time, which, I mean, I guess how would you know? But even so, if, like, your grandson was American and he came over, came over to Denmark, tracked all these things down, the only way he did this was with letters that he had that were in a foreign language, and so
they were like 50 years old, and or older.
It's a lot of timeline to.
I think you know what's funny about it, and I know it's a fictional story, but there are grains of truth like weaved into fiction, and he did acknowledge Will when Will asked about, he mentioned his father's name to the grandfather. And he's like, yeah, I had a kid with that name a long time ago. He's like, and it was just almost like, yeah, I bumped into a lady at the store who had a carton of milk. So what? It's like, you had a child, and he's like, yeah, I had one.
And it's like he didn't. It's like he didn't exist, and the only thing was that his name matched up to who Will was referring to. Like, oh yeah, that was my dad. Oh yeah, that was my son.
And the letter that Will gave him, you learn later. You get one story from Effy as to what it says that's very cheery. And as their relationship builds later in the movie, she's like, I didn't tell you the truth about the letter. This is what it says, and it's way more abrasive, and deservedly so. And it's kind of that nice circle that a lot of people go to see a movie and they want a happy ending, and now I think you're seeing a lot more endings they're not necessarily happy, but they can be satisfying.
Yeah, that's I would agree with what you just said. I definitely, yeah,
because he 100%. He zinged him real good at the end.
He did.
And, to the grandfather, like, you had that coming.
Yeah, he really did.
Your ambivalence to, like, this person you put on the planet who is just broken. And we never see, we just hear about it through letters. Like, you should know that it was almost like an encapsulated way of saying, you know what, you're a horrible person who created a life and destroyed it at the same time. And
not to say that the other, quote, set of characters weren't broken either, because I think Effy was definitely broken in her own 14-year-old self. And so obviously was her mother and the boyfriend. Yeah. And we only saw them for a very short time at the end of the film. Yeah, they allude to an improper relationship, which is, I'm going to spoil it for everybody, in that Will has there's this specter hanging over him and Effy throughout the movie that they're going to do something illegal together with something, something that no man should do with a 14-year-old girl. But even though he had a shit grandfather and a shit father who is now dead. Right. So they're all dealing with, like, different kind of, what do you call trauma? Not trauma. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, trauma too, but I don't really think it's I don't like that trauma. Word. I think it's like behavioral. Everybody in this movie, I feel like, has, I don't really like to say this, but like some kind of, like, demons that they're, like, wrestling with, that they have been their whole life. Yeah, and it becomes part of their behavior. Every day, like every breathing, waking moment, everything is affected by... Will was just an angry guy, just the way he interacted with people. He was really angry, and I thought that a lot throughout the movie. I mean, it could be a small interaction or, like, a big one, which I mean, just like... just abrasive and, like... Yeah. God, like... I felt bad for the people that had to interact with him, because he was just... He wasn't a happy person. Yeah, he was just caustic with everything. About everything. And... I don't think he even smiled, really. Yeah, but there was a couple times he did, but they were forced. They were, like, really... Not his choice. Yeah. Yeah, not his choice. Given the opportunity, I'd rather scowl. But his... it's like he did have this grain of decency in him, because when he's finally alone with Effy in the hostel, she kind of makes a move on him, and he rises to the occasion to be like, I can't do this. It's not right. That's true. Yeah. And like, he didn't get that from his father. He just knew, like, at a core level, this isn't the right thing to do. It's illegal, and I can't do it. Even though there is this. It's so weird to say this about a guy and a 14-year-old, but there is an attraction there, but as a character,
he was at least quality enough to look at it and say, this, it's not the time or the place. It's definitely not the time.
Yeah. The other thing that I will mention in my research of this movie, the age of consent in Denmark is 15. So
that's why she said I'll
not
be 15.
to break it or spoiler alert to people who might watch this movie, but Effy keeps mentioning that
she's going to be 15.
She's going to be 15 in a few days or something.
Yeah.
And that comes up a lot. And I wondered about why she was always saying that. But then when I read that, I was like, oh, okay, now I understand. But even so, I mean, it doesn't make it yes or no. But I mean, or okay and not okay. But I don't know. She's 14 and...
I think they definitely had to write that in.
Yeah. I could see that, but I was like, oh, now, okay, I get it. I get that small part of it. I really like.
How did you find this?
It just came up on my Netflix queue, I think, or maybe I looked up independent movies or something.
I didn't know if you knew about the director and knew about the. Yeah, I'd never seen any of those people before.
No, it was definitely my kind of movie. Like I watched the trailer and it was definitely my kind of movie. I watched the trailer and I was like, yep, I want to watch that movie. Like, I will like that movie.
I wouldn't have picked it out on my own, but I was pleasantly surprised. Especially if you like watching people or watching a character go through a growth curve. And it starts off the curve and the development of Will as a person starts immediately as soon as the movie starts, because they're in Denmark. He's whoring around at bars, and like you see him at his behavioral bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well said.
And it's just it's a growth from that point forward. So yeah, worth checking out. Copenhagen.
2014 on Netflix.
I'm just going to get right into the recipe for the week. It's super, super quick. Somebody, and I'm not going to say who, got an air fryer, and I have so many people around me, friends and whatnot, who've been telling me to get an air fryer, because just the number of things you can make in it is innumerable, and they come out perfect and quick. So if you're a fan of salmon, I don't have this on the Instagram, but if you want to check out a honey to use in this, as always, here's the call to action. Go to, if you're on Instagram, JAY, Hey Honey, or you can always just go to the website, heyhoney.biz, and that's HEY honey.biz. So what was the name of them? Teriyaki salmon bites?
That sounds right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So real easy. The better fish you get, the better the output. So 1 pound fillet of salmon, sockeye or Atlantic salmon. Take the skin off, of course, and then cube it into like inch by inch cubes. Put it in a bowl and add...
Real quick, what was your tip for taking the skin off the salmon?
All right, so a couple things. Like, I found something online that just said pour boiling water over the skin and it'll shrink it a little bit, and then you can just peel it right off, which worked great. But I got the salmon from a local store in Ann Arbor. It was not cheap. I think I love the purveyor, but I paid a lot for salmon. And when I was at one of my other markets today, you know how everybody who sells whatever they sell, they think they have the
best of the best.
The best of the best, and ours is better because X, Y, and Z. And I mentioned this to the lady at my other market, that we poured hot water on. She's like, "Oh, that's not how you do it. She had some other method. Forget it." She's like, "Well, I know how to
take the skin off the salmon.
Skin off or fillet it or whatever." I'm like, I don't have the time to learn like filleting skills, and I don't have a fillet knife. This was real easy and it worked. So if you're not into peeling skin off of fish, just boil some water and dump the boiling water in a brief burst onto the skin, and it'll shrink it a bit. You can pull it right off.
I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was pretty cool how it worked, and it was easy, and it was done.
So cube the salmon, and then throw it into a bowl and add. I'm not going to give measurements because you just got to eyeball it because you're making like a super quick marinade. Teriyaki sauce, soy sauce, honey, of course, and you could, like, if you use the hey honey stuff, you could either do lemon and ginger, a chili pepper, or I guess you could use pineapple. That would work with this.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
So teriyaki sauce, soy sauce, honey, pepper, and garlic powder. Am I leaving one out?
I think that's it.
That's all of them. Okay, so mix that up. Make sure all the meat is covered. Make some rice either in a rice cooker or on the stove, and then cut up some scallions. Throw just the salmon meat into your air fryer, 7 minutes at 400, and I'm telling you, it was. Look at you over there beaming. You loved it.
It's delicious.
It was really
absolutely
good.
Delicious.
And it was done like as soon.
So easy, so quick.
And as soon, like, I know how we sound like those food bloggers, which neither one of us like, because they just run on at the mouth and this recipe was perfect. This was actually really good. Like as soon as the alarm went off, it was cooked perfectly. It was just ready to go. So just throw that in a bowl of rice, add your scallions, and then some sesame seeds, and you're done. Recipe of the week. What else do we got? Oh, Blacklist. Next.
Mm-hmm. Blacklist is next.
Okay. I had to have a transition.
Got it.
All right. Not doing that again.
It just scared me.
The Great Pretender. I think you saw this a while ago, but you didn't pick it, and I missed it. I just came across this today. So, you want to read the synopsis? I can't look at the computer right now, so give us a synopsis on that.
Okay.
Do you have it up?
Can you fill some space for a minute? No, I don't have it up, but I can get it easy.
Okay. It is Tom Hanks would play himself as the nicest guy in Hollywood. There is somebody else who is a doppelganger for Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks gets kidnapped. I kind of threw together a quick list of possible characters. The synopsis was brief enough that it didn't really give us a potential character list, so kind of had to ad hoc these. But I would think that this could play well as a comedy.
I definitely think so as a comedy. That's how I cast my movie.
Okay, go ahead. You found it?
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Okay, the synopsis is, when Tom Hanks, the nicest guy in Hollywood, and someone who looks a lot like him, gets kidnapped, his doppelganger must step in to save him. In a world of make-believe, it's hard to know who to trust.
So I'm assuming it would be set in Hollywood. It would be like a movie about Hollywood to some degree, and then like have a crime component to it. Kind of like, what was that movie that came out? Hail Caesar. Did you see that?
I did see that movie, yes.
With Josh Brolin, and it took place in the 50s in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an investigator for the studio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's all these different different actors for different movies. There was a couple. I think they threw in some people who were members of the Communist Party because that whole thing was going on at the time, the McCarthy era stuff.
Yeah, that does sound. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But this, of course, Tom Hanks is going to be in it. If he gets kidnapped, I would imagine they'd throw Rita Wilson in there because she's his wife, and there's going to be a scene or two where she has a meltdown and freaks out. And I didn't really want to. Maybe I'm being lazy, but I didn't really look for another actor to play Tom Hanks. I made the assumption that they could either use CGI or some kind of prosthesis or makeup to make him just look a hairline different for the doppelganger person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought about looking up who his stunt double is, but I didn't really get that far.
That would be interesting to take Tom Hanks' stunt double and then make him like a lead.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting.
I just couldn't think of someone either, actually, and I just thought they would cast him twice. He would play two characters in his movie.
I would think that you would have a kidnapper character, Tom Hanks' agent, a studio head, who clearly is we're banking on Tom for this next release. What do you mean he can't do press? Always been kidnapped. And then, well, if anything, if Tom gets kidnapped right before a movie, that's just going to add to the buzz to the movie.
Mm-hmm. It will probably help it.
And then an investigator. So, who did you have for the kidnapper?
For the kidnapper?
Yeah.
Because, again, I thought it was... I see this as a comedy.
Yeah.
I chose Tommy Wiseau. I don't know how you say his last name, but he is the guy who directed the movie The Room.
Oh my God, that's the best pick you've ever. That is so good.
Thank you.
Guy's a
Thank you very
nutball.
much. And I thought that would be absolutely perfect because who in their right mind is going to kidnap Tom Hanks?
I'm sorry, Tommy, but you're just known throughout Hollywood, especially.
You couldn't get away with kidnapping Tom Hanks. It's just a funny.
It's an absurd notion.
It is. That's exactly.
And like his, when he made The Room, he wasn't making a movie to make money. He already had money because he bought
This is Tommy Wiseau. For those of you who don't know, you should definitely look into this if you're not familiar.
Didn't he buy either a building within or part of the market within San Francisco's pier?
That sounds pretty correct. Yep.
Yeah, he market or a series of buildings in the pier where people had to rent office space or what do you call it? Like market stall space from him or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he made a ton of money doing that.
Yeah, a ton of money. He literally had money.
Money to burn.
Yeah, burn. Mm-hmm.
And if you, what was the movie that was made with
The Disaster Artist?
Disaster Artist. But there was another one, I think, or no, maybe there.
Another one, what about?
I read the book. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. I think The Disaster Artist is based on the book.
Yeah, and there's a scene where what's Franco's brother's name who plays the
Dave.
There's some scene where he's looking or Tommy has Dave go to the bank or something to get money or something. Mm-hmm. And the teller is do you remember this? And the teller's has to look the account up and he asks her, is there enough money in there for me to make $100 withdrawal or something? And she's this account is a bottomless pit.
Yes, that sounds very familiar.
He's like, what does that mean? He's like, you will never run out of money. This guy's got so much money.
Yeah. And here he was going in and worried about taking out $100.
Yeah. So I think he made him a signatory or something, I can't remember how that had played out, but I remember that exchange between the teller and either Tommy or Dave, one of the two. But anyway, yeah, he would make a great lunatic kidnapper if they could get. He'd have to take direction though, which I think would be. He would.
That would be a challenge.
Yeah, he's not.
He wouldn't be for that. And actually, to be honest, to back it up, since you mentioned Dave, I considered James Franco for either the kidnapper role or maybe some other role. I can't really remember anymore. But that's what led me to Tommy.
It's too bad that he's like box office poison now.
Yeah, that's because why I didn't choose. Yeah.
I said Jared Leto.
That's a really good one too.
Yeah.
That's a really good one too.
Because he's just made a name for himself in Hollywood and playing like the atypical freaking weirdo.
100%. That's yeah. That would be great. And he would take direction, unlike Tommy.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's a good one too.
What about the agent? Who'd you come up with?
Oh, the agent is Julia Roberts.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorites, personal favorites. But she's friends with Tom Hanks, and
I think she's better than mine because I picked Joseph Gordon-Levitt because I think he could play like a Weasley.
Yeah.
No, not straight on like a definitely concerned weasel, but like he's not like an alpha guy.
Yeah,
because he's a little bit smaller.
I feel like Julia would get the job done. You know, she'd be like, "We need to do this. Take care of Tom."
She'd be an ass kicker for sure.
Yeah, and she'd also be funny. I mean, it would be a very serious situation, but I think she would. I don't know. I just thought
she could project comedy through anger.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. And I think too that it was kind of getting to be male heavy, so I needed some.
You're gonna love my picks though. Then for the studio head,
I can hardly wait.
Who did
bring it on?
Who'd you come up with?
I came up with Steven Spielberg, and not like somebody to play Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg.
Oh yeah, because he's in like half of his movies.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. I don't know if I've seen a lot of Steven acting though.
I know. As I was saying it, I was thinking the same thing. Because I don't know how that would go with him on the other side of the screen. But at the same time, I don't know how much he would need to be on the other side of the camera. So he would probably be okay. I think he'd be fine. Julia Roberts and, Tommy could take over.
Okay, I didn't, as everyone knows who listens to this, I could give a shit about how I pick projects for us to review as to whether or not they're woke or not. But I think we flip-flopped who would be, in what role would be a good ball buster. You said the agent, and for the studio head, I had either Jennifer Aniston or, you're going to love this, Faith Hill.
Like the country singer Faith Hill?
Yeah. Because I've never seen her act, but I don't know. I looked at like 6 pictures of her, and I'm like, I'll bet you.
For the role of the agent?
No, for the role of the studio head.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of female power players in Hollywood now. And they go ahead.
Thank you. I think she's she's a major player. What did you just say?
She's a force in country music for sure.
Yes, and I think that's a good choice actually.
I mean, usually the country music singers, or any musician, if they're really in charge of their career, they know how to command authority.
Yeah, no, I think she would be. That's a good pick. She would. Yeah. People would already see her. People who know her would already see her as someone who would be in that kind of role. Yeah. Do it justice. So.
Investigator. Who'd you have?
I have Michael Douglas.
He's like 6 million years old. Or you'd have him like an old gumshoe.
I guess so, yeah. Him or Albert Finney. They're both very old.
That guy's still alive?
He is. I don't think he's passed away yet.
Oh,
I would know if
wow.
he did. I should look that up. I feel really bad about that.
Well, I mean, either that... I can't even picture his face. Like, look him up so I can...
I will show you.
Yeah. I came up with P.J. Marshall, and just because he's played... you probably know who that is.
The name sounds really
He
familiar.
was in Mindhunter. He's played agents and cops before. I could do Josh Brolin, but I don't want to like cast people too many times in roles they've already done, unless they're wildly different. Oh, wait a minute! I know Albert Finney.
Do you?
Yeah, pull it up. He was in. What was the last? Or the second Ocean's movie. He was, what's her name's mother? Or father.
He was in an Ocean's movie?
Let me see him. Yeah, he was in Ocean's 2. He was the Night Fox. Or not the Night Fox, he was the guy who hooked up Danny Ocean so he could beat the Night Fox.
He's Daddy Warbucks and Annie.
In the old one? Oh, yeah. In the old ones from the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay.
Do you want some more pictures, or do you know who we're talking about
I
now?
can't... You know how horrible my eyes are. I can't see him from there. Blow one up. Go on that one. The one in the corner.
Where?
Just like any of them. Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's him. Okay.
Also, now that I'm thinking about it, he was in Aaron Brockovich with Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Did you see that
That'd
movie?
be good. Repair. You know how I am about repairings.
I mean,
that
yeah,
would
if
be-
they did it well the first time,
That'd
it's
be
like a
great.
go.
Like, oh, that'd be an interesting flip because he could work for her in this one.
Yes. Oh, that would be great. That would be so great. I think I would go with him over my first pick of Michael Douglas because I think that the
I don't see the guy who played Gordon Gekko in Wall Street taking shit from Julia Roberts.
No.
I mean, I know he's older and frailer. I don't. Excuse me. Finney though, that's solid. That's even better than my pick.
Who did you pick?
P.J. Marshall.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You did say that. I need to look up who that is, but I'm pretty sure that I know.
Mm. I think
Like this person right here?
what did I just tell you about my eyes? Yeah, that's him. That's him.
And what might I know him from?
I don't know anything that you would watch, but he was in Mindhunter.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this person.
He played Agent Robbins in Mindhunter. But I mean, there's like, I just think it'd be important for somebody to have a background playing either a lawyer or a detective or an investigator or a cop or a soldier, something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dailies.
I'm sorry. Albert Finney did die.
Well, guess, Albert, you're not playing him. We went with somebody else.
That's sad. I can't believe I didn't know that.
He would have been good, though. Oh, man, what a bummer.
Way to pay attention.
Well, hey, can't
No,
bat
to myself.
can't bat 1,000 all the time.
This is true.
Daily stuff.
Oh, dailies. The most recent
Wait
one.
a minute. Transition coming. All right. What do you got? You said there was a few. There wasn't a lot that you wanted to talk about.
There wasn't a lot in this last. What would you call it?
The last newsletter.
Thank you. The last newsletter. It's not an episode, but I guess the one thing that caught my attention was that the SAG Awards were recently. I think they were on Saturday last week, weekend. And I don't know. They're interesting because the SAG Awards, it's like there are awards given to, it's like giving like you're voted for by your peers. And I think that's very interesting. It's like, a celebration, if you will, of everybody like doing the same thing. It's not like, like the Oscars or something where it's like a committee. And anyway,
I always find it funny that Hollywood's like the only industry that's like, there's like dentists have like, what were those things that your mom goes to? Those like conferences. They have conferences. But like, it's only Hollywood that people get together and they pat each other on the back for their work.
Yeah, drink champagne.
Yeah.
In fancy dresses and tuxedos. But yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I kind of came in late. And I don't know that I've actually ever watched them before. They were okay. But it's not like some big award show that, I don't know. It was just interesting. There were some good wins. It's movies and TV, and I don't really pay attention to a lot of TV, so I don't know. But anyway, those are really all I have to say about the dailies.
Did you hear about this Madam Web release that came out on, I don't know if it was in the theater or on Netflix, but it's just taken a bath. Like 35.4 million in the past, like since it opened. And from its first week, it's down 61%.
Oh, no, I didn't read that, and I've only heard the title. I didn't know anything else about it.
I've seen so many memes about it being a piece of shit.
What is it?
I thought, you know what, honest to God, I don't know. I thought it was, you can look it up, you got the laptop. I thought it was like a Spider-Woman kind of thing. But I just made a comment about it because any movie that comes out that just has a precipitous fall from all the hype is interesting to me. Yeah, it is the Spider, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, just like the WNBA, you ladies can't cut it. Just kidding. Oh man, we'll get some listens for that one. I think thing I noticed about SAG is that Oppenheimer, of course, took Best Performance by a Cast. Big surprise.
Big surprise. I did watch that one. That win.
What else? WB Warner Brothers had a big. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it here. Mixed financial reveal. I'll just give you the quick read of it. Discovery's financial saga took center stage as Wall Street eyeballed its less than stellar Q4 and 2023 earnings last week. Spotlight shone on the direct-to-consumer segment, after a harrowing $2.1 billion loss in 22, it managed a $103 million profit last year. Despite the turnaround, overall earnings failed to meet expectations, causing, on one hand, it allowed the studio to trim costs, but on the other, content production was slashed. That's the funny thing about, these studio heads are like, we're paying actors too much. We're just gonna, we're not gonna change their contracts. All the unions revolt and stop producing anything. So it seems like a lot of studio heads they fall into the classic problem of penny wise and dollar foolish. Mm-hmm. They don't want to pay their talent, mm-hmm. which is where all the, ultimately the talent is the engine.
Yeah, you need them. It will not run otherwise.
And they're like, all right, we saved all this money by not paying these guys, but our production flow grinded to a halt for months. Mm-hmm. And now, at the end of Q4, they're like, shit, we really didn't output enough product to keep the lights on, or just barely. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I wonder with business if it's just a cyclical thing, or if it now you're hearing about AI issues with every one of these newsletters we get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already here. It's already making inroads to the unions. The other article here was cutting costs and cutting creativity. It's almost like an extension of this WB article. And sweeping trend across media, tech, and gaming sectors, companies like Paramount Global, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, and the LA Times are hitting the reset button. They're initiating significant layoffs, attributing them to investor pressures to streamline operations. The wave of job cuts, despite aiming to beef up stock prices and align costs with revenue, bring to light profound and often overlooked consequences, ranging from immediate financial burden of severance and benefits to the more intangible impacts of employee morale and long-term profit underperformance. That's the thing. It's like their studios are trying to save money by chopping out the human element, and AI is just not at a place where it can generate content in the same way the person can. It's coming real quick, but it just seems like all these media companies for at least the next year or two are gonna. It looks like they're getting beat up pretty noticeably. Major layoff announcements in 2024.
Really sad. I did look at that.
Rivian. I mean, these aren't all media companies either. Rivian 10%. BuzzFeed 16%, Xerox, that's where my dad got his career started, 15%, LA Times 20%, almost a quarter of their staff are getting chopped. Pixar 1,300, Continental, I assume Continental Airlines 7,150. That's not good. Let me see what else. Yada yada yada. Development stuff I wanted to mention. Did you see my girl Julia Stiles is having a directorial debut with a movie called Wish You Were Here?
I did see that. I didn't click on it for more information, but that is interesting. She just wrapped, based on the bestseller by Renee Carlino. Cast includes Isabel Fuhrman from The Novice, Mina Hassad from Aladdin, Jimmy Fails, Gabby Kono, Jennifer Grey. Wow.
And Kelsey Grammer.
Should all know who those people are.
Well, Jennifer, I didn't know the other ones. I figured you would, but Jennifer Grey, I was just delighted to see her name.
I don't know who the first person is, but that's it.
You know Mina Massoud?
Yeah, they were in Aladdin.
Yeah.
Well, he was in Aladdin, so.
Jimmy Fails, The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
I don't know who Jimmy Fails was, but I know the movie The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Gabby Kono from Magic Carpet Rides.
Actually, I don't know her either. Sorry.
Do you know Isabel Fuhrman?
No. I didn't know that one.
We can't know everybody, people. We're trying here.
I do try.
Adapted for the screen by Stiles, the story tells the story of Carlotte, a woman who finds herself in a rut, searching for a spark that seems out of reach.
Charlotte.
Ugh. Charlotte, I'm sorry. That's what happens when you record at 9 o'clock.
This is true.
I'm an old man, so you'll forgive me. Charlotte.
Oh, yeah, no.
Thanks for correcting me. Now the listeners are going to know what a dum-dum I am. I hope you're proud of yourself. Can I finish?
Please, continue.
After she has a whirlwind night of romance and imagining a future with a man named Adam, he ghosts her. But when Charlotte finally discovers Adam is terminally ill, she helps him and spend his last days living life to the fullest. Now, yes, it does sound like a chick flick, but I like Julia Stiles, so I'm curious to see what she's able to do behind the camera.
Yes, I agree.
Your buddy, your countryman, Cal Penn, set to star in Trust Me, I'm a doctor. A film exploring the last day of Anna Nicole Smith.
I thought this was a very interesting sentence pairing all around. Like, did I...
Okay, so Anna Nicole Smith, she died from an overdose because the doctor she had just put her on a freaking giant cocktail of the heinous stuff.
Yep.
And his life was basically ruined after that because, just the ensuing media firestorm that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd definitely go see that.
Yeah, no, I would.
I haven't seen him in anything in a while.
No, I would be very interested in that trailer.
Let me see what else. This was interested in business. Paramount Global faces a potential credit downgrade by S&P attributed to weak cash flow trends. See what I mean? Like, studios are not, they're
hurting.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of bad news about their cash performance. Weak cash flow trends amid the shift from linear television to direct-to-consumer streaming model. And this kind of parrots what... You remember we talked about this 3 months ago about how Paramount has their Paramount Plus network is not...
doing so well?
Well, yeah, like they're in like third or fourth position behind Netflix and
like Hulu and other people like Prime.
That. Yeah, their direct-to-consumer division just was not cutting it, and you get articles like this being written, downstream into Q1 for 2024. It's not a big surprise. Other stuff, musicians and studios have reached a tentative deal that introduces streaming residuals and AI protections for the first time. That'll be interesting to see if they can execute that. And then I found this interesting just because that buddy of mine, Ryan, went to USC. USC's School of Cinematic Arts adjunct professors vote overwhelmingly to unionize. I was stunned by that. Like, I didn't know that. I would assume they have a number of professors if they can unionize, or the adjunct professors. These are guys who are not like faculty people. They teach a class here and there.
Yeah, I didn't read that, and that definitely does surprise me. That's very interesting.
Joining the United Auto Workers Union amid a wave of increased labor activity in education. Which is interesting because, I hate to say it, but a film degree is almost like any other degree. If you're not going into medicine, it's kind of useless. You learn, like, people who do the best learn this stuff on the job. And the theory people just kind of like do what we do. We sit around and critique all day instead of actually going out and making the movie. Because like the actual, I don't know. I guess there's two schools of thought on it, but I'm definitely, like, if I were to do it over again, I wouldn't try to get into film school. I would just buddy up with people in the creatives out in LA and just make my own stuff and learn how to make my own stuff because USC, just to attend there at least in 92, 93, it was like 25, it's a private university. It was like $25,000 a year, and that was back then. Now I'm sure it's like between 45 and 60 now. So that'll be, I'll definitely be on the watch to see what happens with those guys. What else? We got nothing else. We don't have another movie picked out, but then again, we never do.
It's always a surprise.
Yeah. All right. I want a snack. So that's it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Critique-Opolis will be back with another movie sooner or later. Toodaloo.
Should watch Copenhagen.
See yous.